Hello and welcome. Today we take you deep beneath the surface of the Atlantic Ocean into a tragic story that shocked the world in 2023. It is the story of Titan, a deep-sea submersible that vanished while exploring the wreck of the Titanic. A story of ambition, warnings ignored, and a heartbreaking end nearly 4 kilometers under the sea. This is the full truth behind the Titan submarine disaster. For over 100 years, the Titanic has fascinated the world. It was one of the greatest ships ever built. But on its first voyage in 1912, it struck an iceberg and sank into the freezing Atlantic waters. More than 1,500 lives were lost. The wreck was found in 1985, lying nearly 12,500 feet, almost 4 kilometers below the surface. Visiting the Titanic wreck became a dream for explorers, filmmakers, and scientists. But it wasn't easy. The pressure at that depth is enormous, over 6,000 pounds per square inch. The darkness is complete. The cold is brutal. And yet, one company wanted to make this trip possible, not just for scientists, but for paying civilians. That company was Ocean Gate Expeditions.
Ocean Gate was a private company based in the United States. Its mission was bold: to open the deep sea to explorers and adventurers. They designed a submersible called Titan. Titan wasn't a traditional submarine. It wasn't made entirely from metal. Instead, it used a carbon fiber tube connected by titanium end traps. It could carry 5 people, a pilot and 4 passengers. Inside, it was small and cramped. There were no chairs, no windows, except one small porthole. It had no GPS. Communication was limited to text messages sent through a tracking buoy. And the entire vessel was operated using a modified video game controller. Titan was not certified by any official maritime safety organization. The company claimed that traditional rules slowed down innovation. They believed that real progress required risk. But this belief would have tragic consequences. On June 18, 2023, Titan was launched from a ship called the Polar Prince, located in the North Atlantic. On board Titan were Stockton Rush, the CEO of Ocean Gate, and the pilot of the sub; Hamish Harding, a billionaire and world record-holding explorer; Shahzada Dawood, a wealthy businessman from Pakistan; Suleiman Dawood, Shahzada's 19-year-old son, who was afraid of the dive but went to please his father; and Paul-Henri Narjolet, a veteran French Titanic expert with over 30 previous dives to the wreck. The plan was to dive for 2.5 hours, spend time near the Titanic, and return the same day. A massive search operation was launched. The U.S. Coast Guard, the Canadian Navy, and deep-sea experts from around the world joined the effort. Everyone hoped the sub had lost contact but was still intact on the seafloor. Titan was built with enough oxygen to last 96 hours, roughly 4 days. That gave rescuers a window of hope. Search ships scanned the ocean. Remote-controlled robots searched below. Sonar buoys were dropped. Helicopters and planes flew above. People around the world watched, hour by hour, hoping for a miracle. Some sensors picked up banging noises deep underwater, Could it be survivors knocking on the hull? But no one could confirm it. On June 22nd, after 4 days of intense searching, wreckage was found. Robotic vehicles discovered debris scattered on the ocean floor just 500 meters from the Titanic. The U.S. Coast Guard confirmed the worst. The Titan had imploded. The pressure at 12,500 feet is over 400 times the pressure at sea level. If the hull fails, the collapse is instant. Titan's hull had failed. The entire sub was crushed in a fraction of a second. There was no suffering, no time to react, just a silent, sudden end. The disaster sparked many questions. Why did the sub fail? Why were warnings ignored? Who was responsible? Engineers and marine experts had long raised concerns about Titan's design. Carbon fiber is strong, but it can degrade under repeated pressure cycles. It can form tiny cracks over time, cracks that can lead to sudden failure. In fact, a loud noise was heard on a previous dive in 2022. It was likely a warning sign, but OceanGate did not investigate it. They made no major repairs, and they went ahead with the 2023 dive. Titan's viewing window was only certified for 1,300 meters, but it was taken to 4,000 meters. OceanGate bypassed certification by calling passengers mission specialists. This allowed them to avoid regulations that would apply to tourists. A former OceanGate engineer, David Lockridge, had warned about the danger. He was fired after raising concerns. In August 2025, the U.S. Coast Guard released its final report. The findings were damning. They said the disaster was entirely preventable. The Titan was improperly designed. Safety warnings were ignored. No maintenance was done before the final dive. And OceanGate created a toxic workplace where people were afraid to speak out. Had the CEO, Stockton Rush, survived, investigators said he would likely have faced criminal charges, including manslaughter. 5 people lost their lives in the Titan disaster. Each had a story. Each had loved ones. Each died doing something they believed in. Their families were devastated. They called for change, for better safety, and for companies to be held accountable. No adventure, they said, should come at the cost of a human life. The Titan disaster wasn't just a mechanical failure. It was a failure of leadership, of responsibility, and of humility. The ocean is beautiful, but it is dangerous. It demands respect. It punishes arrogance. The Titan story is a warning to future explorers, engineers, and dreamers. Risk is part of exploration, but risk must be understood, measured, and managed. When lives are at stake, there is no room for shortcuts. The wreck of the Titanic has taken many lives, first in 1912 and again in 2023. The deep sea holds many secrets, but we must approach it with caution. Let the Titan disaster be remembered, not just as a tragedy, but as a lesson, one that teaches us to balance innovation with responsibility and to never forget the value of a human life. Thank you for listening to this story. If you found it meaningful, please like, share, and subscribe for more real stories from our world. Stay safe, and remember, some depths are not meant to be taken lightly.